we do here. This is 1100 WSGI. I'm U-Turn LaVern, and yeah, this is one street over. What's happening one street over from where you living? Well, one street over down in Old Hickory, they have a little thing.
Couple streets over.
But it's my neighborhood because that's where my home church is. It's where my church family that I've been a part of since 1989, y'all. I've been with the Master Church of Christ. And so they're my people. They're my people. You know, we don't always just, agree on everything, but they're still my family. That's why I tell everybody. I said, when it comes to church, y'all, you're never going to find a place that it's like, I'm just right there with you. It's like, but they're your family, and you got to have that family, And so anyway, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. I've been part of the Madison Church of Christ since 1989, and just up the street, there's a little thing called Refresh. And it is just a beautiful thing that you guys do. And it is on the first Friday night at We Are Church. Do you have the address?
No, I don't.
Oh, no. Come on. I thought you were ready, Lisa.
I know I wasn't. You're supposed to help me. You're supposed to help me remember.
This is Lisa Forte, by the way. And she's the founder of this little thing. And I just love her heart. And I love how God brought us together. Mark was asking me this morning. He's like, "Who's your guest today?" I'm like, "It's First Friday. Who do you think it is?"
Come on, Mark.
Come on, get with the program. He's like, "Oh, yeah.
It's just her. It's fun."
Well, no. It's just, we can't keep straight what day of the week it is. Because all teachers have forgotten that it's Friday because we haven't had kids until Wednesday because they were off Monday and Tuesday in Robertson County. Oh. We had we called it in service when I was a kid, but we had professional development on Monday, and then we had parent-teacher conferences on Tuesday. So while it was a school day and we wanted the kids to come with their with their parents, in high school, a lot of them don't.
Right.
You get a few, but and I wish more of you would come. I'd love to meet those parents, and talk about your wonderful children. But so we didn't see kids till Wednesday. So this does not feel like Friday.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, right. For teachers in Robertson County, we're all going. We're thankful for the weekend, and it's about to just weather note. If you've not been paying attention, I know it's been I had my kids outside Wednesday. Oh, my goodness. It was fabulous. Bill Jones, you're just a rock star. Bill Jones, my friend here that's local historian, and he is the FCC license person, licensing, or he's the FCC tester. That's how it is. FCC tester for ham radio license. And he was in the weather wing of the Air Force and talks about flying into a hurricane. And
oh, wow.
He's got all these.
He's got some cool stories. Yes.
Wonderful retired businessman. He said something to the kids when he was in there on Wednesday that I had never known about him. And he had a Radio Shack. He owned a Radio Shack here locally. He had flooring company. His dad is the one who Bill Jones Industrial Drive is named for.
Okay.
And so it's because he brought a lot of industry into the Robertson County. Well, I did not know he was the first one to sell computers in Springfield.
What?
Bill Jones, yeah.
That's cool.
He sold the first computers. How cool is that? But anyway, so he came and talked to the kids, and he set up this radio signal that they had to go then take receivers and find. It's called Fox Hunt. And so we did that outside, and we had a blast. And at the same time, our criminal justice class was having traffic stops, so we just got outside and played, and it was wonderful. Well, Monday, all this wonderful weather. Monday, the high is like 38.
Oh.
It's just
why do you have to say that today?
I'm sorry. Well,
I haven't even looked at the weather report. Thanks, LaVern.
I'm sorry. That's why I'm here.
Right?
To let you know what's coming because storms are coming. They're saying some storms could come in tonight, and at first they thought it was going to be terrible, terrible. And I think we're not as severe as what they first thought, but we still have storms coming in. You got a cold front coming in on Sunday. It's going to start dropping, and then on Monday morning. And so we like to get up and walk super early when the moon's still in the sky. Mm-hmm. I don't know if we're going to be able to do that when it gets to be 20 degrees out there. I don't know if I can do that. Ooh, that's brisk.
It is brisk.
I don't know, but I don't want to give up my morning walk. We pray.
Just bundle up.
Yeah.
They'll be fine.
Praying before the sun comes up on a walk, man. Ooh, that's just, I don't know. That's my That's my jam right now. I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. We don't get to do it every day, but man, when we do, it just feels right. So,
Yeah.
how you doing?
1501 Hadley Avenue. 1501. I
Thank
always
you.
want to, I can't remember if it's 1 or 4, and we always have this conversation. 1501.
This is Lisa
1501.
Forte.
Yep.
Redeem her now.
Refresh night.
Night is tonight. First Friday night of the month. And again, the address is
1501 Hadley Avenue
at We Are Church.
in Old Hickory.
And it's just beautiful. It's a wonderful night. I've been able to go and bear witness to it. What have you got going tonight?
So the reminder is this is our last one for the year because we don't do December.
That's right.
Because of all the holidays and
Right.
all of the crazy that everybody's starting to experience now.
Well, absolutely.
So yes, we have Sweet Jordan Beasley doing our worship tonight. She's pretty incredible. Had her a couple times, and then Pastor Angie Briley from Simple Church will be bringing the message this evening. So excited!
Is she a female pastor that heads a church?
So she and her husband co-pastor.
Okay.
So yeah, she does get pulpit time. So that's awesome. Yeah,
Go,
that
girl.
goes. I tried to get her here this morning. I'll get her here to one of these days to have YouTube.
I kind of feel like we've had her in here before, have we? Has she
I
been
haven't.
in? Okay.
No.
Okay. Well, we see a lot of husband and wives that are co-ministering together. And guys, I got to tell you, it's biblical.
Yeah.
I can prove it to you.
We had Pastor Lauren.
Maybe that's it, yeah.
And of We Are Church. She came once. Yep.
And I'm telling you guys, get into the Word and study it. And go and find Kenneth Bailey's work. There's a bunch of videos online from him, and he just looks like a goofy. It's like from the '60s, and he's living in Lebanon, and it's just funny if you look at it because it's so dated, but the content is incredible. And you look at his content and you listen to it, and then you go see if what he is saying is true, like a Berean. And man, the more I dig into it and go to the resources that he says, I can't find anything that contradicts it. And what you're saying, what I was going to say, the Ezer Kenegdo, what women are called to be. We are called to be a helper suitable, right? That's the first words that God spoke over us. But Ezer is the word he uses to describe himself as he helps Israel. And Kenegdo is somebody that comes alongside in opposition to, is what that means. The Jewish people, if you look at really Orthodox Judaism, they believe that only when men and women work together and stand side by side in opposition to, do they really fulfill the image of God. Mm-hmm. And so when you see these churches that are just really doing something different, and you find out there is a man and a woman together that are standing side by side in opposition to, and they're working together, there's something special there, and it's the image of God. And go study it, y'all. Don't listen to me. Christy McClellan has a brilliant study on it that's in her, it's on the paywall for Newland's Bible that she has. And I know at some point she's going to do an Ezer Kenegdo kind of publication with Lifeway. I'm sure that's got to be in the works, but because it's a brilliant study. But she's the first one that I heard that from. And then I have dug into it deeper since and have found that it's, the Jewish people are like, oh yeah. And you just dig into that, and it's breathtaking. It is fascinating. Ezer Kenegdo, standing alongside in opposition to, I could go down a rabbit hole here, but I'm not going to because my friend's here.
No, we can, girl, our rabbit holes are fun. No, but just what that reminds me of, though, is think about what happened in the garden, right? And what was part of that, part of the curse wasn't just the woman being and the serpent being at each other, but it was that she will desire his position. He will, as far as Adam goes, right? Like that whole, there was a spoken, I need to go back and look and see what it, are you pulling it up?
I'm actually going down another rabbit hole, but you go find it.
No, I know, right? I'll find mine, you find yours. Okay. But it was, but there was a part of the consequence to the disobedience, to the rebellion for both of them, was that there would be some contention between male and female. And so that's where, I feel like that's where at the fall when sin entered, that was part of what destroyed, the unity, right? He destroyed the unity between us and Father
Yep.
until
Yep.
Jesus. So there's
Preach,
part
girl.
of
Yep.
our fleshly tendency is to still have that rub, right? It is not in our normal, what we're born into, nature, to submit to each other, to surrender, to yield, because we don't even do that with the Father, right? We don't fully yield, we don't fully surrender. So it's really even, I feel like sometimes even more difficult to do it with a human in the room with you, right?
Oh yeah.
I mean, you think about that even from an intimacy standpoint, even from a husband and wife standpoint. It's like, do you really have you really you've been married, I saw that post, 31 years?
37.
Oh, okay, 37. Look, I'm trying to take some time off so you get full credit for all those years, right? But I mean, there's probably, we don't share our every thoughts with each other, right? We don't share, but I'm sure that there's still, for most people, some hidden places, some guarded places, and not in a like, oh, you can't know what I did last night, but
Yeah.
in that tender spot, right?
Yeah.
Like there's some things that aren't shared. So you go while I find mine.
Well, and I am let's see here. Okay, I'm trying to find the translation where this is what Dr. Bailey said. And this is one of those things that you have to go back and you have to kind of look at original translations. You got to do some deep dive study on this. But what you were talking about, how that the fall was about that tension between man and woman. But then we had a new covenant that came on the scene that I believe so wholeheartedly, so much of what we saw with Christ as the way he interacted with women, the fact that he had women followers, and everybody's like, but he had 12 disciples that were men. Well, because they were the sons of 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 of, of Isaac were not Isaac, Jacob were 12. There were 12 sons. There weren't 6 boys and 6 girls. So they were mirroring what the original tribes were when he was calling them to a new covenant. It's like, I'm going to mirror what I have for you. And Dr. Bailey explains it. He says, if you were to come into America and you wanted to share something that would remind them of the call of what America was, you wouldn't take their symbol, their flag, and distort it in any way. You would do something that mirror images it and says, let's do this again and let's do this better.
Right.
But he called the 12, and they were men because the original 12 tribes were led by men. But that was also pre-Christ, and it was, after the fall and all the curses that were, the things that we were going to have to endure as men and women. But then he talks about a new covenant. I believe that one of the reasons why Paul was so all over the place about really pushing back on circumcision, because that was something that was only for men. And baptism, the sign of the new covenant, is for everybody. And so then you go and you look at the parables and the stories that Jesus told. So often he would tell it in a way that it would appeal to men, but then he would tell it in a way that would appeal to women. And Dr. Bailey calls these doublets, where he has one where it talks about the sower sowing seed, and then the woman talking about kneading yeast into dough. And you have that, all the time. But this verse I wanted to look at it was in the prophecy in Jeremiah, where it says that, let's see, how long will that, okay, I'm looking at a different version here, but it's saying, how long will you hither and thither, backsliding dollar, for Jehovah have created a new thing in the earth. A woman shall encompass a man. And if you translate that properly, it says a woman shall protect a man. And so it was like a changing to where the roles, again, that standing alongside in opposition to. Now, that's what I was looking for. But what was it you were looking for? Because I went down. I'm sorry.
No, we don't know. Apologies. Well, and even before reading this would be I guess when we think about this debate that has been forever and ever, right? Like if if God made us in his image, then what realistically either we're part of the ability to get salvation and all of the inheritance that we have, either at salvation we are a new creation and are his daughters, or we're not. Because then if it's only a section of, well, you can be saved and you can go to heaven, but then how are you telling me that I don't have to obey the go and make disciples and go and the command as a disciple of Christ? Are we not disciples? Like, do you where do you draw that line if you're saying, females can't preach, or females can't be pastors, or females can't do this? Like, where do you draw that line in what I stand before the Father and have to be accountable for?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you draw it? Where and the thing on that would be is, why wouldn't you want someone preaching the gospel? Why wouldn't you want somebody sharing the good news of Jesus? And I think that I think in some places where it gets a little interesting, or could potentially be, um, would be if there is a lead female pastor, either single or even if her husband is co-leading, but she's the one that's doing the majority of the preaching, whatever, as they shepherd people together. I mean, obviously, there's situations that as a woman, that's why there's elders, that's why there's deacons, that's why you have your body being the body, not just this isn't a one person show, which is where I think it gets lopsided,
Yeah, I
right?
think so too.
I was looking in Genesis 3, and I'm looking at the New Living Translation version, and this is again where when the Lord's having conversations with Adam and Eve, and and they're blaming the serpent. Let me jump down to verse 16. It says, "Then he said to the woman, I will sharpen the pain of your pregnancy, and in pain you will give birth." I just want to stop right there. It's like, oh, she wasn't going to have painful pregnancies and pain in birth before this point?
Mm-hmm.
Like, seriously. But anyway, and the rest of that is,
Thanks,
and
Eve.
you will desire, I know, right? And you will desire to control your husband, but he will rule over you. So, I feel like the protection in that relationship, the way that God originally designed Adam and Eve to be in relationship together, looks so different than what we see, what we perceive after the fall, right? And so for that, and I mean, and I can see where we've done that, right? I can see, and especially with a very strong women's movement, I feel like, it's one thing is like we're over here and then we swing over here, and it's like, Lord, what did you really have this? What did you have in mind when you created male and female, right?
Yeah.
What did you have in mind? Because the thing that we don't have modeled for us in the scriptures, like there's scriptures pertaining to marriage, right? There's scriptures about that in the New Testament, but you don't have this little snapshot of, oh, Jesus was married and this is how he did life, or if there's mention of the disciples and wives, like you're not hearing the co-ministry together or what that, but obviously society then looks a lot different than what it looks like now. So yeah, it's one of those where it's like, okay, the Lord, this is interesting.
Well, and the one thing that Christy McClellan points out in her Ezra Kenegdo study is that, I mean, I don't know, you don't really know about her personal life. They don't really release a lot of that, but it doesn't seem that she's married. Maybe she was or ever has been. I don't know, but she does not talk about a spouse.
Right.
So she says that it's not. It just. I mean, it's great if you can do it within the context of a marriage, but it's about just a man and a woman. I was talking with the, the pastor Patrick Nix from Fluellen the other day, a couple of weeks ago, and I said, because Rachel had just put up Ezra Conegdo on her social media page. And I said, this is what that is. It's about men and women standing side by side in opposition too. But it doesn't mean it has to be a husband and a wife. It could
Right.
be that we have somebody standing alongside Trump, alongside in opposition too, and not Hillary or anything like that. I don't think I'm not proposing that. Excuse me. I'm not proposing that in any way, but I'm saying two people that have the same understanding of what their end goal is, and they're going to come alongside in opposition too, because men and women bring completely different perspectives.
Yes.
So if we would, I don't know. Just to me, it's like you might want to just kind of think about this. What if we had leadership that was male and female standing alongside in opposition? I know this is never going to happen, but I can suppose, what would the world look like if the leaders of our country were male and female, standing alongside in opposition to, working to reflect the very image of God, bringing it all to the table and giving it to Him and seeking His desire. Of course, that's why we're fallen and all that. But I can dream.
Right.
I was listening to Keenan Clark. This is this preacher I've discovered. He is like 30 years old, and he is just like on fire. And he lives down in Franklin now, but he travels. He calls himself a traveling preacher. And he says, we're supposed to pray for big things. Pray for all of Robertson County to know Christ. Pray for all of, Davidson, Sumner County to know Christ. Pray for the big things.
Right.
We're just like, we limit God to the people in our circle. And what about the people in Nigeria that are being slaughtered? Are you praying for them?
Right.
Are you praying for these people that know what war looks like? And are we praying for the big things? Are we praying for people to have just the Lord come to them in their dreams in mass, and for the revival that we really want? Pray for big things is what Keenan is saying. And I just thought, you preach, brother. I mean, just anyway.
Well, and how many times do we stop though, because this is what I think is so absolutely, I don't even know if the word's fascinating. I just sit there. It's jaw dropping to me, because it's just like, Lord, I can't. Like, why did you? You knew when you made us. Like, the fact that you even, it's out of His great love and tenderness and His mercy, but because He has to adhere to the laws and the covenants that He set up. Like, we're the ones that have power and authority that Jesus gave back to us whenever He died on the cross, right?
Yep.
So in that, like, it goes back to Him creating and speaking things into existence. So what are we speaking? What are we declaring from His word? I mean, He has to respond to His word. He doesn't respond, not that He's insensitive. Like, He cares whenever I cry, right? It says He collects my tears in a bottle, whatever. But that's not what moves Him. His word. He has to stand on His word. And so do we stop in our prayer time? Do we give Him the laundry list of, and some of our prayers are, help me, like, help me, or am I declaring your word over my situation?
Right.
What is it? But even before that, in that intimacy with Him, do we ask Him, Father, what's breaking your heart? What do you want me to release and speak over what today? What is it that you want? Like, what is it you see? I see a little, like we were talking about that before we came on air. Like, as much as what we want to think that we understand a situation or that we know a person or whatever, like our little glimpse of a big picture, like we get what we truly know, maybe be the size of a grain of salt in all of it. So we get so fixated to, like, this is our world. And then we limit Him. Yes. And then we want to cram Him into that box. But it's like, He sees it all. He knows the end from the beginning, everything. He knows the motives of people's hearts. So what is it that we need to speak and declare? What is it? And I feel like, that's part of where that He's trying to mature us as his bride, as that and if you look at it's like, oh, wow, Holy Spirit, this is cool. Thank you for that revelation. If we look at, and that's kind of like, let's sit with this for a second, LaVern. If he refers to us as his bride, right? So he says sons. If we can fall, as girls fall under the sons category, then the men can fall under the bride category. It's like he says he's coming back for his bride. But if you go back to, how do you say
Ezer Kenegdo. The standing
as
alongside in opposition to?
as his bride
Yeah.
with the Father, what does that look like?
Ooh.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay.
As his bride, what does that look like?
Ezer Kenegdo. Yeah. Interesting.
That just gave me the chills.
Ooh, yeah. I never even thought about that.
I didn't either. That was a Holy Spirit like little nugget drop in. So if we're wanting that example, his example is us. His example is us as the body. And so going deeper into that study of what that means, what does that mean as we partner with him in releasing his, because as the bride, like that yieldedness to him, right? That because we're in relationship and covenant with him, and there is that protection of a loving husband over his bride. But what is it that we're speaking and releasing as his bride, as for that common goal? And what's his common goal? Get all of his kids.
Yeah.
Get all of his kids.
Yeah. To bring them back. That's interesting. I had never even thought about that. I mean, there's so much, man. It's just the deeper I go, that it's like deep waters, man.
It is deep waters, and then you're like,
waters.
I don't even what I thought I knew. It's like
deep waters, and I just, again, guys, this is just so. I don't know. I talk a lot about the where we worship and what we worship and all that, and I just really need a place where I can go deep, and I just don't feel like we're going deep enough anymore in the church. And I don't know what that looks like for me. I don't know what that looks like for my husband. Well, I mean, it's just got me, on my own doing what I need to do. And that's what we're called to do. But I still would, I don't know. I just, I don't know. I need to be careful what I say, because I don't want to go down. I don't know why this stuff's on my mind all the time. I guess it's on my mind all the time because the Lord won't leave me alone with it. That typically is usually when he just will not leave me alone with something. It's because I really need you to see this, LaVern. I need you to pay attention to this. So,
well, and that goes back to asking it, like, what is it? What is on your heart about this, Father? Like, what is that? Because I'm with you. I think that there's a lot of, we have gotten to, and I will say, in just in what we see, what we observe, I think the enemy's been very strategic, because it's been like, and we've talked about this a bunch, right? And we don't know who we are in Christ. So that identity piece, he's kept us confused in that bucket, because once we start really understanding who we are in him, the united with Christ, everything that happened at the cross, what he really, like that reset, it's like he picked us up and put us back in the garden, like all of it, everything, the dominion, the authority, all of it, like all of the scriptures, all of it is ours to walk in fully now. And when we understand from an identity standpoint, then that's when we start to go, hey, wait, hold on, there's an authority standpoint and a place of, you've assigned me territory, like his kingdom come, his will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And so in that territory assignment and that authority assignment, then he will give us things like speaking and declaring. Is your assignment to speak and declare over Robertson County? What is it that, where's your sphere of influence? Where is he putting you? But there is we have, and even whenever we've done the teaching thing within the church, we have set up a system and a structure to where that falls on leadership.
Yeah.
Like we haven't, and the reason why I'm able to say this is because I've watched this over the last several years, even with leading a ministry. Like, I have people that are like, put me in, coach, put me in. Like, they tell me their hearts, they tell me their dreams. And it's like, when there's an opportunity, and it's like, you're going, okay, take off your warm-up suit. It's time to get in the game. Like, here we go. They're just like, you're talking to me? Like, no.
Yeah.
And so there's so much, and this is what we've done as a disservice to our leaders and our pastors, is we sit in the church and we take one direction, and do we apply it? Who knows? Do we take it to the workplace? Who knows? But it's like, we've put the responsibility on, oh, well, you're called in your full-time ministry. It's your job to go and make disciples, all of these things.
Yeah.
And it's like, no.
I'll write you a check, but you go make the disciples.
Right. And
Yeah.
and out of the Lord just really, like, a couple years, it's been more than a couple years ago, several years ago, when we think about what Jesus has done, and it's like, this would be my challenge to our listeners, is if you're in relationship with Jesus Christ, having that moment with him, and just sit with the idea of one day you will stand before him, and not like you're spending eternity with him, but we'll stand before him to give an account of all the idle words, Jesus. Like, can we take that one back out? Our words, were we obedient? Did we trust him? Did we follow him in that obedience? Because the adventure that he's inviting us to. But we will stand before him. And and this is what my prayer to him was and continues to be. Like, everything that you went through for me, every single drop of blood that you shed, I don't want to waste.
Amen.
Whether it's out of, and I won't say we, I'll say me. Like, I could tend to do that if I allow myself to try to process things through what I see, what I know, what I like, that whole fleshly, like, oh, here's Lisa's little grain of sand box. Like, if I process through that, then likelihood. Now, there's grace and mercy, right? I process a lot of things black and white. There's grace and mercy, and it's a journey with him, and it's an adventure with him. But are we really asking the Lord, like, what does that look like? And I'm not saying that it's going to be a uproot your job and move to Timbuktu, but what is he asking us to do in the daily? And even starting with that intimate time with him, he desires that relationship, not the 101 do things. He desires that intimate relationship with us, because it's out of that overflow, it's out of that fragrance that he's able to draw men unto himself. We don't have to go beat people up with it. But the beauty of walking in the fullness of that relationship, in the love, having the fruits of the Spirit out of that relationship, but then also walking in the power and authority. I mean, like, when I stop and think about, people touched the disciples' cloths. People lined up for the shadows of the disciples so that they could be healed. They don't have anything any different than what we have.
Right.
There hasn't been any change. There wasn't any, so it goes back to going back to the truth thing. Either God is who he says he is and his word is true, or it's not.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't get to pick halvesies, but it's like, it is or it isn't. He is who he says he is. We have what he says we have, or we don't. Let's walk in the fullness. But what gets us stuck? It's the doubt and unbelief.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I just, it's like all this. I don't know. As I was anticipating, I was like, wonder what me and Lisa are going to talk about today.
I know, right?
It's so funny. And and everyone who knows me knows this is something I'm super um, concerned about. I mean, this is not me as a woman saying, I want my time. I don't want a pulpit.
Right.
I don't want a pulpit, but I want us to stop muzzling half the body of Christ. And I feel like that's what we've done in the American church far too often. And by doing that, you talk about we're not. There's nothing that's changed between now and the time the apostles were here. So what are we doing wrong? And they say, well, Paul said this and Paul said that. Yeah, well, understand why he said it and what he was saying and the people who he was talking to, and then read where he talks about men and women prophesying and if they should have their head covered or not. It wasn't whether or not they should prophesy, it's how they present themselves as they get up and present. And the daughters of Philip and Junia and all these different people who were women who were ministers. Phoebe, the word that's used to describe Phoebe as a deacon is the same word used to describe Timothy as a minister. It's the same word. But because we want to control the narrative, we change how we understand it. And it's just, I feel, you talk about trying to find where God wants you. I can remember, what do you want me to do, Lord? What do you want me to do? Keep asking questions. I've heard that so powerfully in my life. And so that's what I'm going to keep doing. And it's not because LaVern just got that want to be a preacher syndrome. No, I don't. I've just felt called to it. And I find that so insulting. I have a friend that uses that. Stop. I love you and you know who you are, but we should all desire to be a preacher, in my opinion. And
and all that is sharing the good news of the gospel.
And,
whether you have a 1-person audience or a 100,000 person. So this is so what is the our definition of evangelism? Going and telling people, right?
Yeah.
Who was the first evangelist?
It was Mary.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mary. She's the first one who
And
was
do you think and do you think that God in his infinite power, ability, wisdom, all the things, that if he meant to exclude us in that process, like the girls wouldn't have been there first?
No. And I mean, just the outrageous, just scandalous behavior in the way that Christ associated with women and had them traveling with him and paying for his stuff.
Right.
They wouldn't do that in the Middle East today, but he did that. And again, just go back. I mean, talk about the new covenant. The sign of the covenant is now baptism. It is for men and women, not just circumcision that was just made for men. There's a new covenant. It came with Christ. And I believe he's, with all my heart, restoring us back to what we were as an Ezer Kenegdo, standing alongside in opposition to. And Jeremiah prophesied it. He says there's a new day coming. For the Lord creates something new in the land. A female will shelter a man. And that is in the Christian Standard Bible. I'm looking at different translations for that. It's a new day. And again, I'm not a feminist. I'm not this. I'm not that. I am just a child of God trying to fulfill the call he has on my life. And if I let somebody tell me, well, you can and can't do this, then I am being obedient to you and not him.
Right.
And that's where I'm going with all this. And so
Yeah,
that's my struggle. That's my struggle right now. And this is fresh, and it's just my church just recently, and I mean it's on. You can go listen to our sermons. You know how you have that what we believe, okay? And for a long time, I've gone and looked at that a few times. I'm like, yeah, I'm in line with all those things. Well, they've added some. And they've added one about a cappella music, and I think that's just if you want a cappella music, it's fine. I don't see anything wrong with. I love instruments with worship. I prefer it, but I was raised in the a cappella tradition, and I love that too. But they've put that on there, and they have put one about men in leadership, and I feel like they've shut the door to me. I feel like they have shut the door in my face, and so, and I don't know what to do with that because it's my family. But it's grieving me. And I'm having a hard time with it. Having a hard time with it. Because that's just happened in the last few weeks.
Yeah.
So, I don't know what to do with it.
So what would, in a family, if you had family around the table that essentially rejects you, what do you choose to do?
Man, I don't know. That would be hard. Because, I mean, we have, I use the illustration when I talk about the disagreements that I have with the body that has been my family since 1989. And I use the illustration that my biological children, I've got one that doesn't believe anymore. I have one that is just polar opposite from me when it comes to politics and stuff, but they're still my family.
Yeah.
And there's not that rejection. I don't have that. I don't sit there and say to them, you can't speak in this household. I invite the conversation because it's only through the conversation that I believe that I can help you understand where I'm coming from. And you know what? In the conversation, maybe you'll convict me that I've got something a little bit wrong. I'll be honest with you. My kid on the political side, he says a lot of things. Now, I mean, mostly we disagree, but he has some things about love and compassion and things like that that I think that we forget that's got to be present in politics. And so he makes a lot of very good points. There's so many things that he and I do agree on.
Right.
And even my son that's not a believer right now, man, he makes me question with boldness the very existence of God.
Yeah.
And he makes me dig into things that I'm at peace with. That's what, man, I got to do some sponsors. This is a quarter till. But, all this started when we talked about that man and woman that minister together in the pulpit. And that's what opened this up. And I just, man, it's just grieving me right now really hard.
Well, and I think the relationships can be there. Like our relationships, our family, like there's history, there's all of the things.
Yeah.
But we have to keep in mind that there is a religious spirit that has always been active. Like to think that there isn't enemy tactics within the body of Christ, within man-made things, for that purpose, then we're being deceived, right? And it just go to your sponsorship. We'll come back to this because otherwise we won't get a sponsor in before we go.
I got a couple of them I got to do today too. I do want to remind you that we've already talked about Bernard Farms, but I got to remind y'all, they processed beef this week. They put a third out yesterday. They're putting a third out today and a third out tomorrow. So if you want some of that wonderful farm raised, you know exactly where it came beef, you got to get down there to Bernard Farms Custom Cuts and Market. Get all going, y'all, because, I mean, that's a prize when you get a hold of those beautiful cuts of beef. We're going to talk right now about the UPS store. I was just talking to Deborah. She is everything UPS. And I said, okay, are you changing anything right now? And she's like, right now, because of Christmas, they just kind of want to double down on the fact that they have got a special deal going on. They've got a discount on wide format printing. And that, a lot of people want to do pictures and things like that for Christmas with the parades coming up. You can do those big fat head prints with people's faces on them, do some kind of Christmas thing. There's all kinds of fun things you can do. You can do personalized Christmas cards if you want to get ahead of the game. And there are discounts they had on cards, a few months ago. If you hang on to those coupons, they never expire. But right now they're concentrating on that wide format printing. And, they do blueprints, they do canvases and prints for Christmas. And again, the fat heads. I can remember when we had to do blueprint, we had to print blueprints when we had our roofing company. And we were a commercial roofer. And so we had to get these blueprints out, and they were massive. I had to go to Nashville. I can't begin to tell you how many times I went to Nashville to get blueprints made. And what a wonderful thing that you can do that now right here at the UPS store, guys. And again, I know that's where we take our Amazon packages, but when you're in there, just check out all the services. Everybody in there's a notary. If you need a notary, all you have to do is just walk in. Every single person in there. That is so convenient, because up until then, I would have to go find a notary, and I'd go, oh, where am I going to go? And that's not a problem anymore, because the UPS store, everybody in there is a notary. Just walk in. It's just a small fee to get that done, and you can take care of all your official work that you need to have done. They are open 7 days a week, super convenient. I mean, when they did that, I was like, oh, man, I can't believe it. But they've got hours every single day. So today, Monday through Friday, they're open from 8 o'clock until 6:30. 8 to 6:30 Monday through Friday. Saturday they're open 9 to 5, and Sunday they're open 12 to 5. If you want a post office box, you don't have to worry about somebody stealing something from your porch. You can go in there and have a post office box set up. All those things, so courteous. Some of the kindest people I've ever worked with. Love going in there and talking to them, and it's just so convenient. 513 Memorial Boulevard here in Springfield. Again, hours 7 days a week. The UPS store, one of our wonderful sponsors here at one street over. So when you go in there, you're going to be impressed with them. So kind and easy to work with. And be sure and tell them U-Turn sent you. All right, sister. What were you thinking? Now, I got one more spot to do, but
Go ahead, do your spot.
No, we'll
I'm
go
ready.
ahead talking because we've got 10 minutes yet.
Okay.
I don't want to do them back to back. We want to
spread them out.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm learning all this, right?
Yeah. Typically,
she's
I
going
should
to
have
make
done
me
one.
right.
Typically, I should have done one, 15, 20 after, but we just get to talking and all this. And again, this is something that's just, you can tell it's bothering me. You can tell it's bothering me. My brothers and sisters that I'm real close to at church know how much it's bothering me.
Yeah.
But anyway, what do you want to talk about?
I don't know. What do you, what can we do in 11 minutes? I know.
A lot.
No, I know, right?
Mm-hmm. Well,
I just think there's always going to, I think just to kind of put a bow on because of going back to the garden, because of what is going to be between the serpent and the woman, there's always going to be opposition as God's daughters. I mean, the female gender birth, Jesus Christ, like there's always been, like it from the very, so to think that we're going to get a grand welcoming entrance, no red carpet, don't even need the red carpet, but this whole like, come people, we're not. There's so much tradition, man-made rules, and again, going back to demonic spirits that we know that are in existence that plague people individually, but also, I mean, let's go back to, and this is my example. It was the religious that crucified Jesus. Mm-hmm. So if the church sector is the one who crucified the Messiah, so it's for us, the recognition of it. What is it? Okay, Lord, what is my assignment? Yeah. Am I still called? Because I can still be in relationship with my family. Maybe it's a Thanksgiving and Christmas thing and not an everyday thing, right? But what is my assignment? What are you asking? But the biggest part of that is not allowing the enemy to have airtime in our head and our heart to where there's offense and bitterness and whatever, because that's where he isolates us and gets us all cattywampus and can wreak havoc at a whole different, and understand that that's his tactic. It's like, ooh, I know what the sore spot is. Okay, Lord, if I'm graced to stand here and be in this particular situation for your purpose, Lord, then I have the grace to do that. I have the strength to do that because I'm doing my assignment based on what you said. If I'm not, then that becomes striving. It becomes an area of strife. It becomes an area of distraction. It becomes an area of discontentment, like all of the things. And so it really is, okay, Lord. I mean, okay.
Yeah. What do you want me to do to and that's honestly and truthfully, being a part of the Celebrate Recovery program helps me tremendously with this because, Celebrate Recovery, we do have about a third of the people there are for chemical and alcohol addiction. Like you think when you hear recovery, people go, "Oh, you work with Celebrate Recovery," and they're like, "Well, what? Were you an alcoholic or were you a drug addict?" And it's like, neither. Neither. But I am a fallen child of God that struggles with a lot of stuff, and we have this thing at Celebrate Recovery. You say, "Hi, I'm LaVern. I'm here. I'm a grateful believer in Jesus, and I'm in recovery from," and you tell them what you're struggling with. And so mine, and I mean, there's just, you just name it. Everything that you can ever possibly imagine has been named.
Right.
From the things that we don't consider, that big of a deal. I kind of gossip a little bit. I might spend too much money. I eat too much. I've shot up heroin. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you
it's
cover
the
the
range.
spectrum.
Yeah.
That's the range. And for me is, I'm recovery from bitterness, resentment, spiritual, church issues, and food issues. That's mine. Those are the things that I struggle with. And I think so many of us have food issues. Unless you've got this really fired up metabolism and you can just eat anything you want and all that. We struggle because it's something we have to have, and we have to have that controlled where we don't so many people do have food issues that they don't even realize. But bitterness and resentment are something that I learned to cope with coming from a family of interracial marriage that happened in the 70s in West Kentucky. And so I talk a lot about that. That's my first journey of overcoming bitterness and resentment because, man, you talk about a poison in your soul, and I let that poison my soul for 20 years. I wrote Jesse. My book, Jesse, is about overcoming that. And then spiritual and church issues, that's the big one right now. I mean, for me. And not that I'm on fire, man. I'm just loving it. I'm seeing things that just blow my mind. But then it kind of doubles back into not letting that bitterness and resentment affect my spiritual and my church. I got to find that place because I find myself, I'm just going to be transparent here. I find myself when I am sitting in worship at my home congregation fighting with bitterness and resentment. Big.
Yeah.
I love it when young people get up and lead, but the very idea that a young person that is just barely kind of putting it all together theologically can get up and lead in some aspect of church because they're male and I can't, it's insulting. It's insulting. And I'm sorry, it's wrong. It is so wrong. And I just, like I said, with what they just recently added to our website, I mean, of course, if you're a CFC person, you're going, yeah. if you grew up in the theology and you're like, it's about time they got straight, because for a long time, my church has been known as kind of one of the liberal churches in the theological realm. And I don't know. Everybody's like, LaVern, you shouldn't be talking about this on there. Well, I don't know. I don't know what else to do.
Right.
I don't know what else to do.
But this is, and this goes back to me being, and I get God is not black and white. He's great. All of the things. Mm-hmm. So there's growth. There's growth for me because it's like, it's a good thing. He does have that area of gray. But anytime we make, it's like one of the things that has been, and I have one of my spiritual mentors, like iron sharpens iron. I don't know what I'd call her, spiritual mentor more than iron sharpens iron. It's like almost, it's one of those where I love her, but there's times that I don't want to be in conversation because it's like, this is not going to turn out well for me. Because even in a lighthearted, but what she has taught me is that, go back to the word. Is it in the word?
Yes.
Is it in the word?
Yes.
Is it in the word? And anything that you can't find in his word is something we as man/woman has made up. And there is a scripture that says nothing should be added or taken away. So if we're making there is, Lord Jesus, the Pharisees and Sadducees, there was 600 plus Jewish laws, whatever, that they had to follow. Like nobody could do that. Why are we going back and doing that to people? Mm-hmm. Why are we making our own laws? Because the outside doesn't clean up the inside. Another scripture reference to that. Your cup on the outside can look nice and pretty and shiny, but you got crap on the inside. So if we're like, anytime that we start, and whether that's for our own, and I'm not even starting with the church, I'm starting with like us as individuals, us with our children, us with our families. Like if we're wanting to add rules, regulations, whatever, like if we're trying to say that Jesus said that this is what God said, and you're the one that's putting that on a piece of paper, then you're going to have to answer that. Well, you're going to have to answer for that one day. Like, y'all, come on now.
And not only that, if we allow, it's like I keep telling everybody, I said, I have to answer. I can't be like, well, the elders said I couldn't do that. Right. And they did this and they wouldn't let me do that. And they said no. they asked somebody to teach Bible class, and I said I'd be glad to. And they said, "Well, but you're a girl, you can't."
Of course.
Come on.
I know.
And I mean, and that's not across the board. I've got to stop. I got to stop. But
One thing I will say this real quick. One thing that I read this past week that it was just actually wasn't right. I was listening to one of Andrew Womack's teaching. Love how he teaches. But it was the reminder of when Jesus, it was teach, preach, heal. Teach, preach, heal. Like that was his teach, preach, heal. And even when he went about healing, he didn't go, okay, well, you come, you encounter him because you have a physical need of healing. Okay, well, LaVern, I need you to go start this, walk 5 miles a day, eat your fruits and vegetables, and then come back and see me in like 2 months, and then we'll talk about your healing. Wasn't even at that point, do you believe in Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior and Messiah? Because he hadn't even gone to the cross yet. Like that revelation has it. So the simplicity of the gospel, the simplicity of what did Jesus do? What did he do? Not the 12 men that he sent out. What did Jesus do? What was Jesus's response to the men, to the women, to the sick, to the hurting, all of the things? What does kingdom look like? Anyway, you got another sponsor.
I do. And he said, be healed. And, and just.
And some of them it was go and sin no more.
Yeah.
Some of them it wasn't. Some of it was just pick up your mat and walk. It wasn't even that.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
It was just in the moment. And man, we could go on. And Lee Marie's here, and we can't go long because she's got, I'm sure she's got Dr. Brown coming in here, the wild doc coming on in here. So we got to get out of the way. But as we were sitting here talking, I pulled up the listing. Barry, I'm on his email response list. So he sends me all these listings. And I thought, let's just look and see what they've got that just went up. And this is like from 5 o'clock this morning, they put up a listing. This is a great little starter home, guys. 732 Shelby Lynn Drive here in Springfield, $285,000. It's got 3 bed, 2 baths, 1,200 square feet. Great little starter home. And that's something a lot of people run into. They go looking for homes, and to find something in that kind of price range, you don't find it. And people can't, they want to do something right out of the gate. And then they go start looking at houses, and they're all $600,000. And they're like, oh, dear God. Well, here's one. It was a nice starter home here in Springfield. 285, again, 732 Shelby Lynn Drive. 3 bed, 2 baths. You want a starter home? I bet you can qualify for that one, guys. Go reach out to them. Reach out to Barry and Rebecca Richards at Exit Prime Realty. You can give them, you can reach out to them via the internet. You can go to them, give them a Google search. I'm trying to pull up the listing real quick of how to give. I'm trying to find her phone number right now. I always like giving out Rebecca's phone number. But Barry and Rebecca Richards, you can reach out to them by searching sellwithbecky.com or buy, robertsoncounty.com. You can call Rebecca at 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425. Barry's number is the same except that last digit change. Instead of 7425, it's 7424. So 615-504-7424 is Barry's number. Remember, he's a marketer. He came out of he was the vice president of a media marketing company for 17 years up in Nashville. Bringing that expertise to the table to sell your property is priceless. You're going to get the best eyes. Your property is going to get the exposure it needs to make sure it moves. Rebecca and Barry, they're going to sit down if you want to buy. They're going to make sure you look at what you're pre-qualified to buy. Can you qualify to buy that home we just talked about? Probably so. But let them sit down and walk through it to see how much home you can qualify to buy, and then start shopping. Maybe you want to get a free market analysis on the property that you have, and you're like, maybe I do want to sell it. They can help you make that decision. Sellwithbecky.com, sellwithbecky.com, or buy, BUY, robertsoncounty.com. They specialize in Robertson County properties because they're cross-Plainians. They're here in Robertson County, have been for over 30 years. But like me, they're originally from Kentucky. So while they specialize in Robertson County properties, they also buy and sell in the surrounding counties and across the state line in Kentucky. Reach out to them today and let them know U-Turn sent you. And it's 8:02, and they haven't come in here and ran us off yet. Parting thoughts, sister. Invite them to
our final 2025 refresh tonight at We Are Church in Old Hickory, Tennessee, 1501 Hadley Avenue.
There you go.
She's going to make me a traffic and news reporter before we get it over with.
Get it done. And guys, I love my church. I do, but we do come into disagreement sometime, and you got to work through those things. Find a church that you can be a part of the body and be as, you know what, have a family that you can love so much that does break your heart when you can't come together on something, because if you don't care about them, it's like, I'll just go somewhere else. Find a family that you care that much about. That's my call to you right now. And they're out there. There's so many wonderful congregations. Find your church where you want to be a part of the body as much as I love, and it breaks your heart when you don't kind of jive all together. That's a healthy relationship. That's just life, y'all. So with that said, I'm gonna shut up now, and I guess Lee Marie's coming in here. She's just sitting out there, and just kind of taking her time. Thank you, Lisa.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And you can, even though you're not doing your thing next week, you still come in here and talk to me.
I know. I am coming in. I'm coming next month.
Awesome. Even though we don't have a show, dude, she's coming on in. Maybe we'll get Rachel in here too, and we'll just have a big old forum or something. That'll be fun. Love you guys. Stay tuned for Lee Marie. She is coming up next. We got Caleb say no. Bill, we've got History Monday on Monday. Yes, that's going to be a great time. Oh, and Christmas Sampler today. Get out to the Christmas Sampler this evening and tomorrow. $10 ticket today will get you in today and tomorrow. $5 ticket tomorrow. You don't want to miss it. It's at the center. And Lee Marie's finally coming in here and running me off. Stay tuned for another full hour of local programming with The Ghost Show. Do you have Doc coming in?
We have Deborah Grant coming in.
Oh, Deborah's coming in here. Well, I was just talking about her.
We're going to be talking about food that fuels.
Hi, this is Brother T. I want to invite you to a very special night of gospel music
awesome.
coming
We're
up
going to
on
be talking
Thursday
to
night,
Deborah
November
about all the smart
13th,
things you need to do to
featuring
be
the
healthy.
Music City Boys Quartet, the Higher Calling Gospel Trio, John Briggs, Paul Richards, and Daniel Sparkman on piano. And it'll start at 7 o'clock Thursday night, November the 13th, at Unity Free Will Baptist Church, located at 2635 Newhall Road. Greenbrier is the mailing address, but the church is actually much closer to White House in Millersville. Come on out and hear the Music City Boys Quartet, the Higher Calling Gospel Trio, John Briggs, Paul Richards, and Mr. Daniel Sparkman on piano. It'll be a great night. We hope to see you there Thursday night, November the 13th, 7 o'clock p.m. at Unity Free Will Baptist Church. I'll see you there.
Nothing can compare to the down.
This is 1100 WSGI.